Hello, this is Joana Saahirah with another Juju live session. A live session about originality, how to be an original. I am super excited to bring you this live Q&A with some of the most frequent and interesting questions on originality in Egyptian dance and in life, because you know that for me, both things are related. And as usual, I promise to answer from my own experience, honestly, and in a straightforward manner, okay? So what does it mean to be an original? How do you develop your originality? How do you stand up in the dance field without appropriating the culture, without disrespecting the culture, with the same care, the same respect for the traditions and for the rules that actually compose the field, the language of Egyptian dance? I'm gonna tell you all about it in this live session. If you're watching me live, please drop by and say hi and tell me what you think about originality. Is it important? Is it even important or not? And how do you bring more originality to your dance? I want to know in the comments. Please share your experiences. I will be very glad to read them, okay? So before we dive into the session, you know the presentation is coming. My name is Joana Saahirah. I'm a world-renowned Oriental dancer, teacher, choreographer, and author. And I'm also the creator of the pioneering Joana Saahirah's online dance school and Joana Saahirah's world, delivering authentic Egyptian dance, personal discovery, and empowerment. And without further ado, I'm gonna dive into the first question, which is not really a question, okay? It's much more like a base for this live Q&A. What is originality? What do we mean when we speak about originality? Let's consider Egyptian dance and life alike, okay? So originality is not the effort of trying to be weird or trying to do things differently just because you want to be different, or trying to shock people, or disrespecting the dance and claiming that's your right to be an original. No, that's not what originality stands for, okay? So originality, as I see it, is much more the access to your own identity, which is unique. It's not better or worse than any other identity, but it's unique. It's what I call your fingerprint. There is no one else with your fingerprint. So it's accessing that fingerprint, accessing that uniqueness, and expressing yourself and creating from that uniqueness, creating from that fingerprint, without great expectations, without the goal of being extraordinary or weird or out of the box. That's not the goal, okay? I'm gonna give you an example. How am I creative when I'm choreographing, okay? Or how am I original, if we wanna take it a step further? How do I work on my originality if I'm choreographing a dance piece? I'm not gonna set my goals in greatness or creating something exceptional or creating something very weird, very strange that nobody has ever seen, you know. No, what I do, the kind of mindset that I have when I'm choreographing and I want to create something original is exploration. I am in the mood to explore, to be creative, to have fun, and to surprise myself. So exploring movements and solutions that I have not explored before, okay? It's much more a journey of self-exploration and see what I can produce out of curiosity and the pleasure of discovery. Then it is a journey of creating something out of the box, ravishing, above the medium. No. That's not what originality stands for. So then again, it's so much more about accessing your unique identity, your unique fingerprint, and expressing yourself from there, creating from there. Creating the dance that you want to dance from your inner world, from your identity. Creating the life you want to live from your inner life, from your core, from your fingerprint. In a way that the dance that I create reflects the person that I am. And the life that I create reflects the person that I am as well. There is a coherence between what I am and what I create. That's originality, okay? And obviously, it's also about getting out of the followers train, you know, and copycats. You should not be copying anyone, anywhere, not in your dance, not in your life, you know, because it's all about doing your own thing, your own way, and learning from others, absolutely, and having references and teachers and inspirations. I have my references and teachers in many things, not only in dance. I have my own life coach, I have my own business coach. I learn from people, but my path is my path. They cannot create it for me. I don't have reference that I can copy because there is nobody but me who is me, you know? So originality is a complex, beautiful subject that I believe starts with going within and asking, who am I and what do I want to create in my dance and in my life? What makes sense for me, okay? Very good. Now that we got that out of the way, I'm gonna read the questions I selected. There are not a lot. I selected a few questions to make this session a little shorter, but they're powerful. How can I create my own dance style? This is something I've been asked again and again and again, especially in advanced and professional dancers. There is a time, a point in your learning process where you ask, how can I stand out? How can I create my own style? How can I create my own identity, my own landmark in my dance, okay? And this has a lot to do with originality, of course. And the dances that stand out and have a long, strong path, a long, strong career, are the ones who have created an original style for themselves, are the ones who are not the same like other dancers. They are the ones who are the originals, the ones that stand out, not necessarily because they are the most competitive, but because they do things in a way that nobody else does. Okay, so on a professional level, being an original pays off because you're really gonna be rewarded for being different, for delivering something nobody else can deliver because they're not you. They're not creating from your inside. They don't have access to your inner world. Only you have, you know. So how can you create your own style? How can you create your own dance language? As I usually tell my students, there are two languages to be learned in Egyptian dance. First is the language of the dance itself. It's the standard language. What is that? All the movements, all the steps, all the rules and postures that we teach everyone around the world. So if you go to a class of Oriental dance, a good professional class of Oriental dance in China, you will most likely learn the same steps that you will learn in Egypt or in Spain or in France, because there is a common standard language, what people call Egyptian dance technique, okay? That is the standard language all of us learn, and it is universal and it's the same for everyone, okay? But then there is another language which most dancers never get to develop, which is the personal language within the language of Egyptian dance. So after you start to have some dominion over the basic language, the ABC, you start to ask, what can I do with this? How can I make this language my own? How can I create my own language from this language? So I'm going to give you an example because I believe that practical examples are powerful. When I started studying Egyptian dance, I was in Spain working, well, not working, studying, working in the sense of learning with a teacher called Chokri Mohammed, a beautiful genius teacher. He's still in my heart, always, forever in my heart. Someone who changed me and my life drastically. And I remember that I would go for his classes and I would come home and I would practice the movements I had learned in class, and then I would create my own movements from those movements. Yeah, by myself. Why did I do that? I don't know. I think it's a combination of many things, okay? I'm a trained dancer, From a very early age, I've studied dance, different kinds of dances. And of course, when someone gives me a movement, my mind goes to work. Say, how can I do this in a different direction? How can I do this smaller? How can I do this bigger? How can I do this with a different body part? How can I do this faster or slower or with a different feeling? How can I break it down into pieces? How can I break it down in 5 pieces? How would that look like? This kind of creative exploration thoughts, this is something that I always remember to have in my dance practice. And it helps develop your language, because when you get what you learn from the outside and you assimilate it, and then you ask, now what can I do of my own with what I'm learning? This is when you start to stand out. This is when you start to create something original. You assimilate the standard language, the standard information, and then you bring from within. There is like an oven and a cooking pot inside, you know, and you cook. There is a combination between what you receive from the outside world and what you bring from your inner world. And that's the beginning of your language in Egyptian dance. That's when you start to build your own trademark, okay? Also, standing out and having your own dance style and being an original is about your presence. It's not only about the kind of movements you do, the kind of body postures you use, and the kind of combinations and personal ways of using music. It's also about your presence. Energy speaks. And if you are in ownership of your energy, if you go into your dance with all that you are, not trying to fit in, not trying to be like everyone else, just being you naturally, okay, relaxed, this will allow you to get into your language as well, because your language in Egyptian dance is also your energy. It's also the energy that pours out of you. It's not only the movements that you choose to do. It's not only your musicality, how your ear reacts to the music. It's also your energy. Energy speaks. I told this to a lot of students who visited me in Cairo while I was still performing there. They asked me, Joana, it's incredible how many dancers try to perform in Cairo. And I know, because every week I had people contacting me and asking me, how did you do it? How are you doing it? How do I do it? And one thing I observed was that the dancers who came into the dance field with the ownership of who they were, the dancers who had a strong personality and were not afraid to hide it, were usually the dancers who were given a chance to audition. And the ones who were afraid, who wanted to copy someone, perhaps a famous dancer they liked, or a famous dancer they thought others wanted to watch, they were the ones who wouldn't survive, not even an audition. They wouldn't be booked an audition, much less a contract, okay? So always consider that your energy speaks. And your energy, if you are in possession of your own identity, if you're fully aware of who you are and you're not hiding it, you're not afraid, you are open, your chest open, you are here, affirmative, take it or leave it, this is who I am. If you have that kind of strength, rest assured you will stand out and you will create your own language also through the energy that outpours. Yeah? Now, creating your own language is something that I also believe takes a lifetime, okay? It is a process that takes patience, it takes learning, it takes practice, it takes a lot of self-discovery, it takes a lot of doing as well. What do I mean by doing? Creating your own dance language is not a mental process. I don't sit at a desk and think, let me say, what is my dance style? How can I characterize it? How does it look like? It doesn't go like that. It's not a mental process. You only realize what is your dance style in retrospection, when you look back, when it's already there, when it's already alive and breathing. The only thing that allows you to develop your dance style is doing it. It's practicing, it's dancing, it's improvising, doing your own improvisations, creating your own choreographies, going for classes, but then doing the material that you're learning in your own way, getting as much involved with the dance in practical terms as you can. This is super important, okay? It is not about talking about my style or writing, journaling about my style. No. This is one of those things that requires that you wrap up your sleeves and you do it. And the more you dance and the more involved you are with the dance, the more you develop that language without noticing. Okay, so do it. Do it. What else, guys? How can I become more original in my dance? How can I become more original in my dance? Okay. There are a few things that you need to do in order to bring more originality to your dance. I made a few notes because there are many things. I selected just a few for the sake of this short Juju live session. And one of them is educating yourself. Very often dancers think that it's either one of two things. Or you are very original, you're very different, you are special, you're out of the box, and you don't care, you don't give a damn about knowing the dance and studying. I've known many dancers like that. I've had dancers coming to me and telling me, I learned how to belly dance from a video, and actually I'm a natural born talent. I don't need to take classes, I swear. More than once, more than twice. Okay, I've heard this. So, and this is nonsense, of course, because if you want to do Oriental dance superficially, just for fun, it's okay, you don't need to take classes. But if you want to learn it on a deeper level, yes, you need to take classes. And the more talent you have, the more you will need to work on it, okay? Talent is responsibility. Talent brings responsibility, and the dancers who are the most talented are usually the most hardworking. Think about that. So the first thing is educate yourself. Exploration, creativity, originality, they are backed up by education. The more material I have to play with, the more material, the more knowledge, the more data I have to play with, the more I will create. And the crazier I can get. For different reasons. First, because I have more material to play with, and second, because I will feel confident. I know what I'm doing. I know the rules, so I can break the rules. The big problem is when people try to break the rules without knowing the rules. I want to be an original, I want to do something different, something nobody has ever seen, but then it's a flop because it's based on ignorance, it's based on nothing, it's nonsense, okay? Imagine that I want to create an original piece in, let's say, Chinese dance, okay? I don't know Chinese dance. I've seen it, I've watched it, but I have never studied Chinese dance. I have never studied Japanese dance. I love them. But imagine that I say I'm going to create a very original piece of a Chinese dance. Okay, I'm gonna do Chinese dance original. You will never see something like this. Amazing. But I've never studied the dance. How do you think this is gonna work? Or imagine that I say I want to create something original in flamenco. Oh, I love flamenco. I love it, but I've never learned flamenco. I don't know the dance steps, I don't know the postures, I don't know the types of music in flamenco, the types of dance, I don't know the rhythms, I don't know the footwork, I know nothing. But I feel I have it in my heart, so I want to be an original and I want to create something of it. It's not going to happen because you don't know the language. You don't know the rules of that style. And if you don't know the rules, you cannot break the rules. Guys, I really want you to understand this. Education is power. And education is power in so many ways. And in terms of originality, education is what will give you the material to create out of the box and what will give you the confidence to create out of the box without being afraid of screwing up every 30 seconds. Okay? Second thing, work on your self-confidence. Yeah, a lot. Work on your self-confidence, on your self-esteem. Love yourself more, know yourself more, value yourself more. Be fiercely protective of your dignity as a woman. Know your worth. If you don't know your worth, work on knowing your worth. The more self-confident, the stronger your self-esteem is, the more daring, the more courageous you will be to create things that were never seen. The more confident you will be in bringing things out of your system, from your system, as opposed to copying and replicating what everybody else is doing. Self-confidence is like, sometimes we have the invisible enemies, and sometimes we have the invisible friends. And self-confidence is an invisible friend. You cannot see it, you cannot touch it, but it's there and allows you to do so much more, okay? Self-confidence will bring the courage to do out of the box, and it will also bring the courage to face criticism and to face judgment. Because when you go out of the box, when you do things differently, people don't know what to do with you. You attract attention, and sometimes it's good attention, sometimes it's critical, negative attention. You attract haters, you attract fans, you attract people that love you, people that find you very annoying just because you're different. And you gotta be able to back it up. I say, here I am. I'm not gonna stop doing my stuff just because it annoys you, darling. So you need self-confidence, okay, in order to develop your originality. Do your thing. And the ones who are supposed to feel it and to understand it, they will. And the ones who are not supposed to feel it and understand it, they will not. And it's all fine. We're not here to applaud and like everybody, okay? There are a lot of dances I don't like. A lot of dances I do like. And they're not gonna keep doing, they're gonna keep doing what they do. They're not gonna stop doing what they do just because I don't like them. It's ridiculous, you know? Nobody owns you. So stop giving your power away to others. And by doing so, you become more original. You create more originality in your dance and in your life, and you become less afraid of the opinion of others. Okay? Let them live their life, you live yours. Another thing you can do in order how to become more original is to be more curious and to explore more. And I know these days we have a big problem. Actually, two big problems. We have no focus and we have no time. You know, and in order to be curious and to explore, you need both. You need focus and you need time. What do I mean by this? As I already told you, when I started studying Egyptian dance, I would come home from my classes and I would reserve at least 2 hours to practice what I had done in class and to create something of my own. I did my own exercises, I did my own variations, I broke the movements I had learned in class down, I played with what I had learned. 2 hours. Of course, at the time, I had more time. I was a student in Madrid, in Spain. I was studying in the Conservatoire for Acting, the Superior School of Theater and Cinema. Sorry guys, I'm a little bit dyslexic today. And I had more time, okay? I didn't have much responsibility. My parents were still helping me. I was 17 and, you know, it was cool. It was cool. It was not hard to have those blocks of 2 hours. Now, I know that most of us, myself included, don't have those blocks of 2 hours anymore, or we struggle to have them. So what I suggest that you do is that you create some spaces, even if they're not long spaces, to stay curious and to explore it, okay? To explore. Go into your dance space and improvise and film your improvisation and watch it. Go into your dance space and start choreographing a music that you really like for yourself, just for the fun of it. Go into a good Oriental dance course and ask your teacher, how can I be more creative from this? How can I use this material that you're giving me more creatively? How can I explore my creativity using the information that you are delivering? Make it a goal to exercise exploration and curiosity, as opposed to absorbing information and content all the time, which is what most of us do nowadays. We absorb too much information and we don't create that much, okay? And of course I'm generalizing, but most of the times that's what happens. So creating space and time and focus to be creative, to explore, to see where your body takes you, okay? Super, super important. Last but not least of the notes that I kept here in order to help you to become more original is not being afraid of making mistakes and weird stuff, okay? So it's also important that you know, and I say this many times, the only ones who don't make mistakes are the ones who don't do it. And there is another one that I love. You will only be criticized by people who are doing less than you. Don't you love this? I really love it. You will only be criticized by people who are doing less than you. So don't mind critics. Do your own mistakes. Do your own weird stuff. Do your own average stuff. Be okay with not being extraordinary. Be okay with not being original. Be okay with being average. Be okay with screwing up. This is the only way to develop whatever you are trying to develop. If I'm learning a new skill, any new skill, let's say cooking, Indian food. This is one of my, it's on my bucket list, you know. I would love to learn how to cook Indian food, okay? I cannot be afraid to make mistakes. Otherwise, I will be tight, you know, like in a prison of my own, following recipes that everybody is doing. And I will never ask, now what can I do with this? If an ingredient, certain spice is missing, I will not do it at all, because I'm either following the recipe exactly as it is, or I'm not going to cook it if something is missing from the recipe. And it is the same with dance. It is the same with everything. Life is very dynamic. You will not have all the conditions to do everything amazing all the time. And we don't create amazing stuff all the time, okay? I consider myself a very talented dancer, but do you think I don't have bad days? Do you think that everything I do is fabulous? It's not. I've created stuff that I don't like. I've created stuff that I find average. I created stuff that I don't find interesting. I don't find the least original. I don't. It's fine. It's okay. I've been creating for 25 years, you know. So it's normal. And when we're afraid of making mistakes, when we're afraid of not producing excellence and originality all the time, most of the times what happens? We don't even start to do it. We don't start. And I know you know someone like that. I know you know her or him. If it's not perfect, I'm not going to do it. So they end up never doing it. Got it? Yes, I think you got it. Okay. Now, another question. If I'm an original, will I disrespect the dance? Okay. So you will disrespect the dance if you ignore the dance. Again, education, education, education. You will disrespect the dance if you say, I just want to be an original and do whatever I feel, and I don't give a damn for the rules and the culture and the mentality and the structure of the dance. I don't give a damn. I don't need to know it. I'm dancing to the beat of my own drum, baby. And then again, I've heard this. I swear, I've heard this. I don't need to study. I'm a natural talent. Come on. So you will disrespect the dance every time you think you don't need to honor it. Every time you think you don't need to study it. Every time you think you can break those rules without knowing those rules. You will surely disrespect it. You will also disrespect the dance if you study from teachers who are not professionals. They will not know how to inform you, or they will inform you the wrong information, okay? They will give you wrong information. So it's very important to choose professional teachers who know their craft, so they can give you the basis, the rules, the real structures for you to play with security, with self-confidence, and with respect for the craft, okay? Super important. Another question, and this is a hard one. Let's see if I can answer it in a few words. My God. Let's see. What is the connection between originality and cultural appropriation? I love this question. What is the connection between originality and cultural appropriation? There has been a big conversation about cultural appropriation. But the thing is, most of the ones who speak about cultural appropriation don't know what that concept means. They think that cultural appropriation is a foreigner doing something that doesn't belong to their homeland, to their original culture. Like if I am Portuguese, I cannot cook Indian food, or I cannot wear Mexican clothing, or I cannot sing Arabic music because I'm not Arabic, because I'm not Mexican, because I'm not Indian. Who the hell are you? You are appropriating the culture. Come on, guys. So I'm going to start answering this question, reading the meaning of cultural appropriation. This is one of the most important things I've ever done in a live session. And I'm reading it. It's not my own concept, okay? This is from the dictionary, all right? So before we can speak about cultural appropriation, let's understand what the hell that means, okay? So that we don't say nonsense. So cultural appropriation. Cultural appropriation is the unacknowledged or inappropriate adoption of an element or elements of one culture or identity by members of another culture or identity. So let me pinpoint certain parts of this definition from the dictionary. Cultural appropriation is the unacknowledged or inappropriate, so an ignorant or disrespectful adoption of an element or elements of one culture or identity by members that do not belong to that culture or identity. So there is a question here of ignorance and disrespect for that culture. That's cultural appropriation. A Spanish person practicing Japanese dance or an Indian person practicing flamenco is not necessarily cultural appropriation because we live in a global world. I'm wearing clothing coming from India. This is coming from Egypt. My makeup is coming from USA. My shoes are coming from another part of the world. In my home, I have spices from all over the world. I have spices from China, I have spices from India, I have spices from Spain. You know, our lives are colored by other cultures. Our reality, especially now in this global society, in this online internet-focused society, is composed of the connection between many different cultures, and that's not necessarily cultural appropriation. That's just cultural exchange, guys. So in order for cultural appropriation to happen, you either have to be ignorant about what you are using of that culture, or you have to disrespect it. So it is the unacknowledged or inappropriate use of that culture. Now that I have clarified that, what is the connection between originality and cultural appropriation? Is there a connection? Then again, I don't think there is necessarily a connection. I think you can learn a different culture. You can even adopt elements of different cultures with all the respect, all the honoring, all the reverence. Sometimes more than the ones who belong to that culture. Okay? I know foreign dancers who practice Egyptian dance with more respect for Egyptian dance and Egyptian culture than Egyptians. Okay? I know people who have embraced parts of other cultures in their life with more reverence, more investment, more passion, more respect than the ones who live in those countries, who live in the countries of the cultures that these people are supposedly appropriating. So it's all very relative. And I would invite you to open up your mind and to understand that we live in a global world. We live in a world where we are composed of different cultures, okay? I'm a little bit Buddhist, but I'm also a little bit Egyptian, but I'm also a little bit Spanish, but I'm also a little bit Portuguese. And I work on Egyptian dance, but at home I like to eat Indian food, but then I also like to eat African food, but then I also like to cook South Korean food, but then I like to go to a classical ballet show, and then I also like to listen to jazz, and all of these references are coming from different cultures. Does it mean I'm appropriating? So if that's what appropriation means, we're all appropriating different cultures, and the question is, how respectful are you of that culture, and are you presenting or representing that culture professionally? Okay, because I do think that when you are representing Egyptian dance, let's say, or any other dance which is not from your original culture, you have to be extra careful to represent it with dignity, with quality, and with knowledge backing you up. Okay, that's the thing you gotta do in order not to disrespect it, in order to honor it. And then again, very frequently, foreigners are the ones who pull a certain culture up. Okay, I'm gonna give you another example. I am Portuguese, okay? So in our country, we have a very famous type of music called fado. Fado. It's actually similar to Arabic music in different ways, okay? There is a connection there. And for many years, fado was not a big thing. It was a very internal thing, a very, very small thing. Not cool, not trendy, not something that Portuguese were known for. And there was a singer called Amália Rodrigues, the biggest fado singer we've ever had. And she was the one who took the fado all over the world. She took it to the biggest stages of the world. And in an interview that I heard from her, she was saying, initially I thought that fado would not translate because I went to China, to Beijing. Chinese don't understand Portuguese. They did not understand a word of what I was saying. They also did not understand the context of the music, what I was singing about, but they felt it. And they made it into an art form in the sense of hiring great singers, seeing the value behind that music and putting it where it deserves to be, in the place of an artistic form. The foreigners made fado famous. The foreigners that did not speak Portuguese, the foreigners that did not know about the cultural background behind fado. So don't underestimate the power of communication. Don't underestimate the power of a world where we're all connected, okay? And there is a difference between using parts of other cultures for our own pleasure, for our own knowledge, for our own life quality, and disrespecting them. So cultural appropriation and originality, for me, have no real connection. I don't see the connection, not necessarily. Originality is then again the ability to know a language and to make it your own. So if you know that language, you are already honoring it. You cannot dishonor it. You cannot disrespect it by doing something unique out of it, by creating your own original perspective on it, okay? And this is how things grow. Egyptian dance has grown immensely in the last decade. It has also lost a lot of stuff. How about that? Let's talk about cultural appropriation. Even in Egypt, you have a new generation of Russian dancers doing horrible, in my own perspective, of course, my own taste, horrible belly dance. Some things that do not dignify the dance, and they have nothing to do with the dance. Nothing. Zero. Zero. You also have events around the world organized by foreigners who honor and uplift and elevate and dignify and make the dance grow. How about that? You have beautiful things being gained from this appropriation of Oriental dance by the entire world, because you have schools of Oriental, Egyptian dance all over the world. You have great stuff and you have bad stuff. Okay, but you also had the same in Egypt. Egyptians also dishonor their dance and they also honor their dance. You also have incredible Egyptian dancers who pull it up, who honor it, who allow it to evolve and contribute to the evolvement of the dance. And you have Egyptians who screw it big time. So it's not so much a question of if you're a foreigner, if you're an Egyptian. It's so much more a question of how well do you know the dance? How much do you respect the dance? And how much do you respect yourself as well, so that you can bring yourself and the dance to the level where it deserves to be, okay? And that is always a place of knowledge and honoring the traditions of the dance, the rules of the dance, and also honoring your creativity, your identity, the way you see that dance, the way you practice that dance, okay? Last example. recently at Joana Saahirah's online dance school, we were working on Kalsum. We were working on a course called How to Dance Kalsum, lyric special edition. So we were dancing the lyrics, okay? And we were using the same music. It was the same song. But every single student felt the music differently. And if I asked each one of them to improvise to that music, rest assured they would do it differently, with different flavors. They would react to the music in a different way, their own personal, original way. Does that mean they're disrespecting the music? No. Because if they know how to listen to it, if they know what they are listening to, and if they know how to use it, and that's why we create a course, this is why we take a course. If you know all that, and then you add your own personal intake, your own personal perspective on it, you're not only respecting the music, you're making it come to life. You are perpetuating it. You're making it significant for this generation and the generations to come. So cultural appropriation is about disrespect. It's about ignorance. It is not about a foreigner falling in love with Egyptian dance and adding their own flavor to it. That's exactly what we want to go for. So educate yourselves, guys. Train with good teachers. Get curious. Explore. And know yourself and express yourself. And of course, always ask, how can I honor this dance that I love so much? And the answer will necessarily go through something like this. I will honor it by knowing it in depth, but I will also honor it by adding my own heart and my own identity to it, by bringing it to life, by making it my own. And this is how you become an original, and this is how you make Egyptian dance evolve and stay relevant, stay alive for centuries and centuries. Let's do it. My darlings, we're gonna close this live Q&A. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel welcome to share your experiences with Originality. Let me know in the comments to this video. What do you do to become more original? What do you do to create more original dance pieces? What do you think about that? And what do you do in practical terms, okay? Last but not least, I'm going to invite you to check Joana Saahirah's signature course, a new course membership available at Joana Saahirah's online dance school, teaching you authentic Egyptian dance, personal discovery and empowerment from the basis to mastery. This is an entire journey of Egyptian dance training and personal development training like you've never seen. This has never been done before. It is super powerful. It's going to give you the roots of Egyptian dance and it's going to make you grow from it and you're going to love it. The link for more information is going to be shared either in the comments to this video if you're watching it on Facebook, or in the description box below the video if you're watching the replay on my YouTube channel, okay? Last but not least, second last but not least, again, you are invited to join Joana Saahirah's World Newsletter if you want to keep up with our news, if you want to keep up with our gifts and inspirations. And once more, I'm sharing the link below, either in the comments or in the description box, okay? Feel welcome to share your questions, even if you're watching this in the replay recorded mode. I love you and I will see you soon, okay? Take care, much love, and a kiss. Mwah.